Okay, I'm going to just, as the title suggests, talk about creating synthetic pseudoknots in Eterna. I've had a lot of fun playing around and creating things that may or may not exist in nature. But first of all, I'm going to show a few structures that were successful. I'm using the word successful slightly loosely. Successful in the sense that they scored well in the shape metric. It's not to say that things that others aren't interesting. Then I'm going to give a demo in Eterna of how to create these some simple pseudoknots. I'm going to show a few structures that didn't work, and I'm going to show a few oddities at the end if there's time. So, okay, so here's one that scored very, very well from round one. I think it has scored 97. A couple of things I'd like to share about this structure. Okay, if you're going to creating a pseudoknot, it's kind of a bit of a balancing act between the strength of the pseudoknot and the intermediate structures, stems usually, that lie between. So so you want just a mixture of UAs and CGs and the odd AU, mostly AUs. It's more or less the same strength as the pseudoknot. It's kind of a rule of thumb rather than anything else. You also find yourself manipulating pseudoknots to make small adjustments in the strength of either the pseudoknot or the stems or both. One other thing. I kind of noticed when I was preparing for this that this is actually forms a palindromic sequence of the pseudoknot. I have no idea whether that is significant or not. Probably not. It's certainly not necessary to create pseudoknots. Anyway, let's try. Let's take a look at how different folding engines dealt with this. On the left is one we've already seen. This is the shape data and new pack, and as you can see, they are both produced what are, I imagine, are rather inconsequential little stems here. And finally, the latest and greatest ribonanza, which sort of made a sort of single GU stem there at the end, but otherwise was pretty similar. One thing I actually didn't quite like about this structure is you've got a row of 3 Cs here, and you've got 3 Gs at the end, and this sort of thing has a tendency to sort of join up if you're not careful. It hasn't done it here, but it's kind of something to watch out for. Editors of bits of the structure joining with the control sequence. It kind of happens all the time, so you have to watch out for it. Yeah, here's another one. Four stem junction, kind of similar. Similar to the previous one in many respects. I'll be using this as a sort of template for creating a demonstration for creating pseudoknots. And the same thing. No, I'm sorry, I haven't done a very good job of aligning this sort of thing. Ribonanza only became available in the last 4 days, you know. So I sort of squeezed things in at the last moment. Again, they look pretty similar in many ways. This is a bit of a mess here, but it's the editable section that counts. Okay. Okay, this is the last one I'll show. I've got a couple of stems and a couple of long stems and a pseudoknot between one of the end loops and a sort of interior loop there. The sort of thing. It's quite easy to imagine when you've got long stems that there's quite a good potential for producing pseudoknots between the two. And again, I'll show the the three different four different things. There's that's the same as the previous side. Similar in shape. UPAC, kind of weird, and Bonanza again. Very similar. Okay, now I'll try and get into Eterna if I can. Oops, that's not it. Okay, that's oops. Sorry. Okay, here's this is the sandbox from OpenKnot around 5. So what I'm going to do is just copy sequence that forms the junction, and there we go. We got something similar. So what I'm going to go through is the steps for creating a pseudoknot from here to, and I'm going to select this one here. I'm going to mark the basis just so see what I'm doing. Okay, now if you're going to create a pseudoknot, you've got to, it's like, it's pretending, yeah, I'll just put the nucleotide sequence on. It's just like creating, initially, it's just like creating a stem between this and this. So you fill in this sequence. It's not as if you're creating a stem. So this, yeah, and you just do the reverse complement of the target sequence. So as so we're going to start with 15 here, and as this, so we'll have a G, as the sequence increases, this decrease, U and U already there, and there we have green. So we've got this. As you can see, no pseudoknot forms. Now, in order to get one, we've got to either decrease the strength of these stems here, or increase the length of the pseudoknot itself, or perhaps increase the strength of the pseudoknot itself. It's, as I said, it's something of a balancing act energetically. Okay, so let's try increasing the strength. Okay, let's try and increase the length by 6. This is already done, so let's try blue there. Okay, still doesn't work. Let's try again. Let's add another pair. This will be a green. And there we go. Suddenly a pseudoknot appears. Okay, once you've got it, it's fairly straightforward to manipulate. It's easier to manipulate it than it is to create it. So you can try and reduce the size of it. We can do. Oh dear, that didn't work. Let's sort of try. Got to be a little careful about these end sequences. This cytosine at 91, you know, and 82 there. They don't actually form. EternaKnot doesn't actually regard them as part of the pseudoknot, but they do seem significant if you change them. You know, things change. I'll go and try and. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's the original. That's the original one we wanted. Well, okay. Well, we can actually try and create other pseudoknots here. It's possible to create more than one pseudoknot in the sequence. It's easy to see that this may end up with something that's sort of in 3D is impossible, as it's sort of it ends up with a self-intersecting construct of some kind. And then but I'm actually going to start again and see if we can get one between here and here. I don't spend too much time on this, but okay, 3, 4, okay. This is probably going to take us a little more manipulation because we've got green, red, yellow, green. And we'll try to extend it just a bit, make this make this 89 a blue to match the 37 here, and this one an A. This already is. So let's go one more and do yellow. Okay, well still no pseudoknot. So let's try. This is a little GC rich, so maybe we'll try weakening it just a bit. And there we go. And again, once you've got it, things are fairly stable. Okay, I'd like to illustrate some of these points with some more points. Oops, sorry. Okay, this is a pseudoknot from round 2 that sort of illustrates some of these points quite well. We've got a sort of a single pseudoknot here between two ends. But just to illustrate how sensitive the process of pseudoknot formation is in EternaFold, I'm going to just sort of reduce the strength of this just by a tiny bit. One hydrogen bond perhaps, make this an IU, and the pseudoknot goes and it collapses in on itself to form a stem. Oops, what happened there? So similarly, if you just increase this just fractionally by basically one hydrogen bond, the pseudoknot disappears. So it's sort of it's almost as if you're in a sort of three-way state. It sort of reminds me of a three-way switch, perhaps, and the switch in the state in the middle where that forms a pseudoknot. It's kind of sort of metastable. It'll go either way on the slightest pretext. This one's quite this particular structure seems quite sensitive to other things too. I mean, if you let's just make this blue and the thing collapse, and weird structures happen. Oops. Again, it's kind of easy to imagine how in solution you might have an ensemble of quite a few of these separate things, which would might make interpreting the shape data quite challenging. But I'm speaking out of my area of expertise. Then I don't know anything about shape. Okay. Perhaps I can go back to the original thing. Okay, that's slides. Okay, and that shows some things that don't work. And again, working in the same way that in the sense of having a bad shape score. Okay, so here's a sort of thing that can happen all too often. You get these massive great doubles, which look kind of cool, but you've got a couple of tiny stems here, and these basically form stems. Another thing is these tiny little pseudoknots with just two nucleotides in length. Again. I'm pretty sure these are artifacts anyway. They don't seem to score well, and don't seem to turn up in the shape data either. Anyway, it's probably obsolete, when ribonanza sort of supersedes it. Oh, and if you have random rubbish, stuff that looks like random rubbish, it probably is. This is a little. This may be a little more interesting. Okay, so you've got a couple of similar-looking structures, and the one on the left scores very badly, but the one on the right scores well. And I'm going to just show the the different shape data. And you can see the one that scores well, it didn't actually form the pseudoknot between, so I'm just going to go back here, between as EternaFold thought it would. Instead, it bound to what's a very similar sequence up at the on the other side. Now, it's kind of easy to imagine that when you've got a pseudoknot formed between two elements of two long stems, you want it to have here the pseudoknots crossed, and here you have here you have it straight. It's easy to imagine this will put less strain on the structure and form more easily. Okay. One more. Okay. Yeah. This is kind of another thing. Very similar. Oh, hang on. No, this is something that. Oh, sorry. This is okay. This is the same one as that. Sorry. Just showing it in various engines. I've already seen these two, and then the new pack had quite a different opinion. Another one. How am I doing for time? Okay, more or less. Okay, I think. Okay, this one. Okay, this one here. And score badly. This one did very well. Again, it's just a single nucleotide pair. It's around here. It's just you've got an A. Sorry, a CG pair right there where the cursor is, and it's not there in the in the one on the right, and this makes a big difference. And it happens all the time. Happens all the time with RNA. Not quite sure Shape thought this was a pseudoknot here, but anyway. Okay, that's it. I'm going to show a few odd ones here. This is quite an appealing looking structure. Appealing to me, that is. But it actually scored, and it actually scored very well in Shape, even though Shape only interpreted it quite differently. This one's even weirder. You've got four of these stem loop things, and you've got pseudoknots between numbers 1 and 3 and 2 and 4. I really didn't think when I did this, it was just an exercise appealing exercise in seeing what I could do with EternaFoldThreshknot. But anyway, surprisingly, it turned up the Shape had the same interpretation of it. It's weird because it looks as if no nucleotides are on the outside of the structure at all. So I'm not actually sure how this would work. Ribonanza did it almost exactly the same. Couple of one AU pair isn't forming there, and one it thinks that GC pair is not a pair at all. But anyways, oh yeah, what's this one? Another bizarre thing. I was going to get sort of something like the Olympic rings here, and it kind of worked up to a point. But again, Shape interpreted it quite differently, as did NewPack. So I haven't seen what Ribonanza did. Okay, it's G98. Not quite. I'm not quite sure why I put this in. Oh yeah, one reason was this sort of thing happens frequently, where you get a knot between the parts of the editable structure and the parts of the control sequence. In this case, the hairpin of the barcode. This one, actually, I was going to show this. Maybe I've still got time to do it. Actually, if that's okay. I was going to make the point that if you have repeating elements, it's interesting to find structures by. Oh, there we go. If you have a structure, say 30 nucleotides in length, that forms a pseudoknot, it's interesting to see. It's tempting to try and sort of take the same motif and duplicate it, but that never seems to work in EternaFold. Maybe it will in Ribonanza and on future future folding engines. In fact, you have to end up changing things quite a way. So you've got a sort of structure that repeats, but the sequences are wildly different. This is kind of strange if you do that. Oops. If you weaken this, if you strengthen this, you get you get another structure here, and if you weaken it, you get the thing collapses in on itself in a rather odd way. So like that. Anyways, it's just an oddity more than anything else. Oh, I'm not quite sure what to do this score well. I can't quite see.
That one scored an 82.
All right. Okay. So again, doesn't work. Okay. So back to the back to this. Okay, that's that. Okay, this is just weird. You know, just from the Pseudoknot challenge, kind of entertaining to do. Another weird thing. It's just an exercise in trying to find see what can be done in EternaFold. Actually, this part of the structure seemed to fall quite well in Shape. This one didn't. Probably needs a little less symmetry rather than more. Okay. This is just a total piece of weirdness from round 3. I'd be curious to see how it actually folds when we actually get round to it. We've already seen that or something similar to it. Okay, well, that's it. I'd just like to thank Raju for inviting me to give the talk, and Jill for giving me help in the presentation, and the Eterna community in general.